My name is Ulrich Kampffmeyer. I'm consultant with Project Consultant Hamburg. And my role today is to introduce a new format for the DCX Expo. You know, everybody is talking about content, but if you look only on content from the publisher's view, I think that's a little bit too short, because there are a lot of other solutions about content around. Enterprise content, content marketing, and other stuff. This year, it's the first time that we try to focus at the DCX Expo on these new technologies, these other aspects. And I'm very glad that I had the opportunity by Mr. Petsch and the Birding team to arrange for a session today, where we'll start with a small overview. First of all, I will try to explain a little bit all about the terminology and the new trends which make content services a very important directive for the future. In the afternoon, we have 4 presentations by friends of mine. Greg Millikan from Austin in Texas will talk a little about intelligent information management. We have Olaf Holst from Optimal System, who will talk a little bit about cloud aspects. Then we have Richard Reed, who will talk about the impact of artificial intelligence on information management. And last but not least, we have Mr. Weishar, who will talk a little about mobile aspects, how to manage information in the field. At the end of the day, we will have a panel session here at this stage with some of the speakers. Greg is there, Olaf will be there, Richard will be there, but we have as well Mr. Hans Köhler-Krüner, who is with Gartner. And by the way, he's the one who invented a little bit content services. We'll talk about this later. And we have Morad Lit from SAR Solutions. So that is our program on the stage for today. My presentation will try to introduce this other arena of content services and content management to you. So I will try to go a little bit into the state of the art. What is enterprise content management? I will follow a little bit up to, well, the slogan, ECM is dead. We'll talk a little bit about other marketing terms which show different direction in content services. And at the end, if I still have time, we will talk a little bit about 10 major trends influencing this special market. The good thing is all the slides and the presentations will be available to your colleagues via YouTube and other channels. And we will provide as well a multimedia, intelligent, expert base of all the presentations. So let's start. ECM, state of the art. Anybody of you who has never heard about ECM? ECM, well, espresso coffee machine, best coffee machine in the world. ECM records in Munich, good jazz music. But we're talking about enterprise content management. In the past, in our industry, everything was about documents. Documents is only one segment of content. And we were talking about scanning documents, transferring them in PDFs, and working with documents inside the enterprise. Today, most people talk about content, but a lot of people think about content in the sense of, well, that is web content. But in fact, we are talking about digital information. These old barriers between content and documents are overcome because we have to look inside to data as well. The term and definition of ECM come from 1999 and 2000 and were made by the International Association, EIM International from the US. And it's really a long period, 18 years in ICT, that there is one direction, one banner where everybody in the industry, in the community, with the end users can assemble at this banner. So enterprise content management is strategies, methods. Strategy and methods are often forgot by the vendors, and tools, that's where they concentrate on, about capture, managing, storing, preservation, and delivering content and documents to organizing processes in your company. This definition was enhanced some years later, including unstructured information wherever this information exists. That means we are no longer focusing on the inside of the enterprise only, but we have to look on outside information, in social networks, in partner portals, and everywhere relevant information of the company will be found. So the good terms are processes, information, and based on this definition, we have a model. This famous model has these components, as I mentioned: capture, manage with DM, document management, collaboration, web content management to allow to give the information to the web, deliver it, and to preserve it. So this model includes a lot of other technologies. It includes complete input management with automatic classification. It's not only document management, but as well email management. Collaboration developed into web content management, social web 2.0. Records management, a term not often used in Germany. This is the legal part of it. Compliance issues, information governance, to keep track of your information due to regulations like GDPR or others. And we make a differentiation between workflow, business process management, and case management. These are the core attributes to talk about content. If you don't use content in your processes, you can't access all the knowledge which is necessary to keep your businesses alive. We have a big differentiation between store and the life cycle when we talk about archiving and digital preservation. Digital preservation is really an issue. What we do with all this information for the future. Most companies think in terms of 10 years for taxation purposes, but if you really look on the value of information, it may be that you want to keep your information 100 years, 300 years. We even have customers who think in the dimension of 500 years. And this in this fast-moving industry where we change formats, standards all the time. So this model worked for nearly 18 years, but we have a big problem already in the definition. This was the restriction to the term unstructured. You know, unstructured may be scanned images or PDFs or words. But what about all the reports? What about all the other data assets? About databases? So this restriction to unstructured only caused a lot of the problems which led to the idea that ECM today is no longer enough. The basic idea of ECM was to bring together unstructured content with data and business processes. So the conjunction of it, if we talk both about structured and unstructured information, coded information and non-coded information, then we talk about information management. So inside the original idea of ECM was already the vision to care about all information which is of value to your business processes. Some general problems we were overcome by new developments, SMAC, Social Mobile Analytics Cloud. There are new technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, IoT, and others. And a lot of people always sound that ECM is only for traditional in-house solutions. Oh, this dusty, nasty stuff in the cellars of your enterprise. So we could try to rework on the definition. A lot of people did this, but then we had a really breakthrough, I would call it, that analysts said, well, forget about it. Forget about it. And some were even so strong to say, well, forget all our ECM vendors as customers. Let's go for something complete new. And so somebody with Gartner declared, ECM is dead. Well, we have been talking about ECM, that it's no longer good enough for the requirements of the customers for years. But this hit the market, and now everybody was thinking about ECM is dead. So I will overjump this, too long to read. And they came up with the new term, content services. I'm very glad that Hans is already here, who will answer some questions later in the afternoon. Why you did this? Why did you destroy 18 years of effective tradition for handling information? So, we are looking for a new umbrella. Well, how can we sell these products, these strategies, these methods to you as end users? Well, how do we create a new roof that you know what kind of functionality, what kind of product you can look for if somebody talks about ECM or another term? The association EIM took 1 year to juggle around looking which will be the term. Well, they came up with a survival guide talking about content services. Some months later, they came up, well, we call these kind of systems systems of understanding. Is that easy to market to you, a system of understanding? Well, so they moved on, and they come to the idea, well, let's talk about digital workplace land and ECM land, where ECM is in the lower stories of your infrastructure, and the workplace is a desktop for your end users. And they came on with a new term, which was intelligent information management. It's even hard to explain to people what is intelligent with man. How do you define intelligent people? And now we are talking about systems, which is completely different. They were completely different. So they had some problem to focus on this new term. But to talk about intelligent information at least saved the acronym of the association. So they could use EIM and continue. So then they came up, oh, well, we go back to ECM. Reports about my desk are greatly exaggerated. And then they posted in my blog, well, I think, Ulrich, it's better we go for information management to have an overall view on all the information in the company. Well, so let's talk a little bit about the new vision, intelligent information management. If you look up Wikipedia, you don't find this as a term there, because it's captured by some publishing company. It's just one sentence in the definition of ECM, where they try to reorganize all these terms in a new mission statement, which doesn't work. And then they came up with other ideas what information management could do, easy to use, everywhere to be used, easy to integrate. Well, this is about functionality, but there is no new vision. And then they came up with new boxes where they put in functionality, which they think, which could characterize a set of products, an industry, a user community. But if you look up, you will find only some white papers explaining what is intelligent information management because it's not easy. And they try to put more intelligence in the term, but we are not at the end of this road. And if you really look up the EIM website and try to find a definition, you get 0 results. How can an industry, a user community survive when the industry doesn't provide a vision where to go, what to do, what you can expect if we talk about intelligent information management? So, intelligent information management is just 2 steps away from ECM or 1 step away from enterprise information management. Let's have a little look in this term. A lot of companies try to focus on this because that's a bridge from enterprise content to enterprise information. Could have made sense. And in fact, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because if we really integrate all the stuff, we have enterprise information management. And there was as well a new vision which kept the old ideas of ECM. ECM is not dead in this. It's a core, it's the heart of the new development. To use more types of information to make it more efficient. And so there are 2 different aspects. One is ECM contributes necessary infrastructure. Every company around here, as well the vendors, need this infrastructure to handle content. At least if you have to pay taxes and have to record your tax declarations. And on the other hand, new technologies add to the scope. And these are technologies like Web 2.0, social business, mobile. This is cloud. It's here. It won't go away. It's about automation. It's about finding everything. It's about analytics and new artificial intelligence. And this has developed into some kind of framework, in a type of ecosystems, where we now today have omni-channel, which, by the way, is a real topic for the publishing companies here in this room. We have questions of universal access. We want to get onto information on any device, everywhere, anytime. We have a lot of new artificial intelligence technologies like natural language processing, automatic classification, semantic, knowledge management, and other technologies which really drive the market. And we have, on the other hand, a lot of old-fashioned restrictions, which we cannot forget in the future. These terms which we describe with compliance, information governance, where we have to look for security, safety, laws, and very important for the future, identity management. So this could have been a good idea, but we tried already to move on. Why do we need to talk about enterprise? Enterprises are changing. A lot of workers are coming from outside. A lot of information is stored outside, in clouds, on portals, anywhere. So if we really want to move into the future, we should talk about information management. Well, now we have intelligent information management, we have information management, we have enterprise information management. So look a little bit on another trend, information governance. Information governance is a very interesting field where the meaning is take control of your digital assets. And yesterday we had a very interesting development. The Association for Information Governance joined the Association for Records Management. So this type of presentation, archiving, records management, and compliance issues go hand in hand. But there are lots of different definitions around, so it's as well really hard to get a grip on. And I think it's no good for marketing persons to go around and always try to force people to buy such solution because there are regulations, there are laws, you have to do so. It would make much more sense if you really go out and say, well, let's exploit the values of information. That's a business case. Let's make money with this information and not only create big repository of outdated stuff nobody is interested any longer. And that's really one of the challenges of information management, sorting out all the rotten things from all the information you really need for your business. So there are as well some models. I will jump about this. And what's interesting, if you look on information governance, you will find all these old-fashioned terms like records management, compliance, e-discovery, data governance, privacy with GDPR and other stuff. So that is an issue and will be a focus of our industry because companies need these technologies to really manage their assets. So let's look on. Content services. Hans, you have to listen now. Content services was first introduced by the analyst company Forrester in 2016. And they said, well, let's distinguish ECM into business content services and transactional content services. Nobody knows what that is. And they created waves for this. Well, this is a wave from last year, positioning major vendors internationally in regard to business content services. Well, the astonishing thing is if we look on the wave 1 year earlier, it's the same companies. It's some new criteria, it's just one new label. Well, Gartner didn't stick to business content services and transactional content services. They created their own content services. They came up with content services platforms. That's former ECM. They come up with content services application, which is a maroon. You can put application and services in IT in one basket. And components which you can use in your applications. So they try to explain the situation with this image, where you have business applications which are user-centric, which are the face to the end user, where you have the traditional ECM platforms, and where you have lots of components which are integrated or enabling other applications. But friends, that is not new. This is the old basic idea of ECM from 2000. Just putting some new labels on all the old strategies we already had. And as well, if we look on the Gartner Magic Quadrant for content services from October last year, next week I think the new one will be out, and as well, the same vendors. Why do we need a new label if we put the same vendors nearly in the same positions on the same graph? We will have a nice discussion later on this. But the term content is a general line inside the Gartner reports, because we now have content collaboration, content publication, and others. And as well, the same companies. Some new there, but in fact, it's still the image of the old industry where we said ECM is dead. Well, I put here on this slide a lot of reasons why it makes no sense to talk about content services, because it's about functionality, it's about technology, it's not about strategy, it's not about vision, it's not about methods and other reasons. My staff put a TLDR, too long to read, on this, so I have to jump over the slide, but you will get all the slides on the internet. So, what really happens today in our industry. Let's have a look on 10 major trends, which really show you where we are going with this ECM, IIM, EIM, content services, document management, workplace, and all the other terms we use in the industry. By the way, all these acronyms and terms are made by the marketing people of the vendors to confuse you as potential end user not to buy their products. That's the only reason why they work on all these acronyms. To confuse you that you not see the value behind these solutions. So let's look on 10 trends. Artificial intelligence. In the past, we have been always working on automation, but that was rule-based, that had to be programmed. So artificial intelligence really adds power to information management, especially with machine learning, to make it much more easier to make use of all your information. So today it's a basic for automatic classification and capture as well with retrieval. If you access information, you can use as well AI. It's for evaluation and pre-screening information, to deliver the right information to the right people at the right time and forget about all the other information stuff. It's about really process engineering. End users always feared to work on processes because that really changes behavior. But now we can automate this, that business process engines look what you are doing and by themselves create effective processes. And by the way, systems are getting so complex that without artificial intelligence, they will not be manageable in the future. Systems will control systems, will control systems, will control systems, will probably control systems. It's a complete new wave to manage information management systems and IT infrastructure. Then we have this year and the next years to come, GDPR and data privacy. I think every company is trying to cope with this. Most of the companies will have recognized that you indeed have no chance to comply with all what is written in there. It's really hard. And you pay a lot for audit trailing and other stuff. But this is the key why information governance gets more and more important for the companies. You need information maps that you know where your information is located. Where are your copies? Think about data safety and other repositories. We have to protect individual related data, and this will become the basic infrastructure for all other compliance issues. Because if you look to data, if it's personal data, you can look to the data as well in the sense of which is a value, the worth for my organization. Oh, that is the other important question related to this. Yes, then we have digital transformation. Wow. Biologists know digitalis is a very nice plant, but it's poisonous. So below digital transformation is always some poison. And I mean, if you don't care for the basics of information management, you have no chance to really go for digital transformation. If you have bad quality in your data and information, you will have bad quality as well in your new digital transformation solutions. So our goal is to make all information of the enterprise available with high quality, with reliability, because we are dependent by 100% for the accessibility and the quality of the information. If your information is gone, your business is gone. So information management is really important. Yes, another trend Oh, that's nice. We can use the term ECM for enterprise change management, what really is important when we go this path. Automation. Automation eliminates workplaces. We were telling this in the 1980s, and we're seeing this development now. There will be new jobs, okay, but a lot of jobs will be gone with automation. And in my industry, nobody thought about the ethic questions when they install workflow automation softwares in their customers' companies, what they're doing to the employees. So automation was always the core of ECM and all the other solutions, BPM and workflows and collaboration tools, and name it. There are a lot of possibilities how to use information today. Blockchain. Blockchain has become very important for our industry because it's a new paradigm for electronic archival. In the past, we always had these big repositories with jukeboxes where we had databases pointing to the assets in these repositories. And now people come up and say, oh, let's use blockchain. That's not the blockchain for money outside. That is internal blockchain to have secure audit trails and to make sure that you comply to the regulation. So that's really something which drives our industry today to move from traditional archiving to blockchain solutions. Cloud. Well, a lot of people still fear a little bit cloud. The information is somewhere out. Can I trust the companies? But this is public cloud. What we see is more private cloud and hybrid clouds, because cloud is the end of virtualization. If everything is virtual in your infrastructure, you have a cloud. And if you build up an IT center today, it has a cloud architecture. So we really have to differentiate what means cloud. And most of the traditional ECM vendors now offer as well the solution in cloud environments, which really generate problems. If you want to display a 100-page PDF on a mobile device via cloud, you will have to drink a lot of coffee. So we have to rethink how information is converted, transferred to new formats to make this available in cloud environments. And so storage of commercial documents, by the way, in most countries today is allowed to store it in cloud environments. So there are no longer legal restrictions not to go for cloud. Number 7, mobile. Well, this is really a paradigm shift, not only in regard how we deal with information. It's a complete new user interface. Well, it's about this wishing around the mobile devices. It's easy to understand. You have no longer manuals. It's self-explaining, or it's not good. And that's a really new paradigm if you think of working with documents, working with folders, working with traditional workflows where you display documents. That's really a driving factor, especially for the decomposition of documents. There will no longer be scanned documents. This will become data displayed in a layout which tricks you. It looks like a document, but it's data in a layout. So we have a complete change in how we have to access and use and manage information. So, who has heard about EIDAS? Well, EIDAS is really great. That's the European regulation for identity services, for electronic signatures, secure email and everything, which has to be accepted in the public sector throughout Europe by the end next year. And so public sector well, these lazy guys in their offices have become a driving component in our market because they have to do this. And it brings more security to systems. It helps you to identify your customers, your users. And so EIDAS as well offers you timestamps, seals, and other tools you need for easy doing blockchain. It's a basic component for blockchain installations in Europe in the future. And believe me or not, as well, the Americans are looking in such developments. Look into California with their GDPR and their regulations in regard to signatures, which they take from the EU without repaying us. So, one driver today is electronic invoicing, where we have as well pan-European standards. And so electronic invoicing is a very big issue for projects because it has a very fast ROI and it's really understandable to people. The finance department will say, okay, I give the money to run such a project. Well, if you come up and say, I need a knowledge archive solution, they will say there's no money. But this goes directly to the financial departments. And so we can now take the next step from only invoicing to really go to the business processes behind invoicing and before getting the invoice to your ERP solutions like SAP. So this is the entry point for really business process optimization, if customers use it right. There are a lot of vendors outside who say, well, I'll sell you this electronic invoicing solution, but it can do nothing else. That's the wrong path. You really have to look on the processes before and behind the invoice as one of the possible objects. So, last not least, services. As mentioned earlier, we talk about services with different focus. Here, on this stage, we talk about services in a technical sense, in the sense of service-oriented architecture. These are software modules in your infrastructure. These people outside talk about content service, preparing content for you, printing content for you, marketing content for you, or publishing in a newspaper for content for you. That's a quite different view. But content service for us has as well importance for the publishing companies because they're normal companies and they need this as well. And so we really have to look as well for all these components which every company needs, like a federated repository for all types of information. And what's coming up is microservices, which you can use in your apps. So there's a complete new world opening up with content services, with IFRA, with DCX Expo, and especially with our industry. Thank you.